welcome to another episode of the Crispy Noodle Podcast. Let us be the Crispy Noodle in your vegetarian salad of life and boring news, folks. It's our job to give you some interesting bits in the world of sports, entertainment, odd news, and whatever else we happen to stumble across in this hour-long podcast, this meal for your mind, if you will. I'm Rich Liebig.
And I'm Michael Costanzo.
And we've got a couple topics that we want to go over with to wrap up the past week or so and review. But before we get to all of the news at hand, Mikey, my friend, how are you doing?
Doing good.
How's Costanzo Country going?
Costanzo Country's busy. We are well into the Christmas swing of things. This past weekend,
you still find time to represent dinosaurs. You got a dinosaur shirt.
Always. For the non-video viewers. This is this is from, I'll have you know, this is from the Field Museum in Chicago, which has the largest. Look, don't get me talking on dinosaurs.
I just
keep going.
noticed you had the shirt on.
It's from the Field Museum in Chicago. They have the largest T-Rex skeleton that's ever been recorded.
Pterodactyl.
No, T-Rex, not pterodactyl.
One of them. It began with a T. I was trying to help you there.
Motherfucking pterodactyl.
Sorry.
I have no idea what I was even doing when I was singing that song.
You just get very excited about dinosaurs.
I do.
Yeah.
It's true.
Look. Nicki Minaj actually announced this week that she's single. She broke up with her boyfriend or something. So we know that she's not going to fawn over you anytime soon.
Of the what? I guess 3.5 billion men on the earth.
Yeah,
I'm dead last.
You are
because
out.
Me and paleontologists, I guess.
You stupid fucking dinosaur! Get the fuck out of here! That dinosaur been working my nerves all night.
That's a shame. She's missing out, man. Dinosaurs.
All night.
I
just love that. All. It really got an accent on that
all
one.
night.
All night.
That dinosaur been working my nerves all night.
Anyway.
Other
than that, how you doing?
Other than that, good. This weekend I was super busy. We were baking Christmas cookies on Saturday with Jordan's grandma. She is 93 years old.
Whoa.
So we went over there.
Wow.
So baked some cookies with her, like a whole little family thing.
A wealth of knowledge she must have. 93.
Yes, but also old people like their rooms very, very hot.
Yes. Yeah.
So we walk in, and I'm like, wow, it's nice and toasty inside. I'm like, maybe a little too toasty.
Yeah.
We're like, how?
Grandma, I need to take off my shirt.
What is the thermostat set at?
85.
86.
Oh, my God.
It was literally 86.
No,
The
too
cookie
much.
dough was melting.
No.
It was melting.
That's too hot.
Oh, good for you.
No.
So first thing we did was turn on the air.
Something just came over me, and I took my clothes off.
That would be me.
We're about to be doing some baking in the nude, 86 degrees.
Yeah.
But then the next day, we were the opposite end of the spectrum in Chile because we went up to Bethlehem to partake in the Christkindlmarkt, the German Christmas market that they have up there annually. So we got to walk around, bought some, handcrafted goods, some fancy cheeses, fancy foods, and it's just a good time if you've never been up to the German Christmas market up there in Bethlehem. It's a fun time. It's a fun little just like day trip. And then Sunday night happened.
Yeah, we'll get into that.
We'll get to that in sports. But Rich, how did you enjoy your weekend up to that point?
Yeah, up until that point. Yeah, that's the most important part. Weekend was fun. Yeah. There was something weird I want to mention. Speaking of like kind of old, I didn't mean to put like old as like the general thing, but like
the concept of old or
kind of.
Old people.
Kind of. I was doing my usual YouTube rabbit hole, falling into,
of course,
learning random things
as one does,
and I found a YouTube channel where they went over the oldest things that have been recorded by like your voice, like in terms
by your voice,
like things that have been vocally recorded.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's what I meant to say.
The oldest vocal recordings of whatever.
Yeah. ...
The oldest
because
song, the oldest.
Even though Thomas Edison got the credit for the first like vocal recording, like there were a couple people in Europe that had dabbled in it, but they didn't.
Right.
They couldn't find like a consistent way to record it.
Well, before Edison, they had wax cylinders. Didn't they?
No, before that, it was like tinfoil. They tried to record.
Tinfoil?
Yeah, they tried to record on tinfoil. Something I learned. Yeah, this is just the
Wow.
rabbit hole I fell into. And it's obviously tinfoil degrades, so you can't really like. What they had to do was they had to actually like photocopy the tinfoil and then try and replay it off of the replica.
Got it.
Because you can't, if you stick the tinfoil under the phonograph, it'll rip the tinfoil off. It's just too old
Right.
at this point.
So
You're
they
talking about something that's almost 200 years old at this point.
So do they basically recreate the tinfoil? They like
They had to they have to like scan the tinfoil and then recreate it on another similar surface
and
to replay the image, and it
what,
worked.
And what was it though? What did they record? What is?
So yeah, it worked. So they found like a couple people that were like testing it. So you had people that were singing like "Mary Had a Little Lamb."
Okay.
There was one that was a prototype in Germany, so it was singing like some German song,
Okay.
like a German little lullaby or something. And then what I thought was cool was they had one who was I don't know the guy's name, but he was like the general of the armies of Prussia.
Okay.
And
The King of Prussia.
Not the King of Prussia, which would have been a great tie-in. If
That
it
would have
was.
been.
I mean,
That would
we
have
live
been.
next to King of Prussia, but he was the general of the armies of Prussia,
Okay.
and he was one of the like key people in uniting Prussia, and it would later become Germany.
So what was it, like a speech or something from him?
Well, it was just kind of like a status of like himself. And it was interesting because he was born in 1798,
Okay.
and this was taken in like, I don't know, like 1870, I don't know, somewhere around there.
Wow.
And like, it's weird to think like, oh my God, like he was born in he was born in that
In the
century.
1700s.
And you can technically hear his voice now. And the last thing he said on the recording is something to the tune of, I watched this late at night. I'm sorry. I may not get this word by word right. But he said something to the tune of like, my body may go down in the grave, but my voice may live on.
Wow.
And I don't know why. That was just like, wow. Like,
Well, that's weird because you're right. Somebody that was born in the
In
1700s
1798
recorded his
was
voice in the
able-
1800s.
was able to just be alive long enough to live to see the first prototype of this.
Yeah.
And then records something. Unfortunately, he dies a couple months later. And now, like 150 years later, we have the technology to try and replicate that tinfoil, and his voice was resurrected, essentially.
That's cool. That's really cool.
Yeah.
So
it was
it's
crazy.
essentially like a 300-year-old voice almost.
Yeah, when
Two-
you think about it.
200-some-year-old voice.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Right?
We should just become a science podcast
It
because this stuff is neat.
was just one of the rabbit holes I fell into on YouTube late at night.
Those rabbit holes are scary.
Well, that's what I fall into.
Sometimes you get really interesting stuff like that. That is really neat.
Yeah. So that's what I learned this week.
Remember that used to be a segment?
Yeah. But that was for like our goofy
That was
stuff.
the goofy stuff, yeah.
Yeah. Like what the hell Florida's doing, or,
Yeah.
you know. Which is good now, because now we're going to need all that information when Grand Theft Auto 6 comes out, because they're going to base all that on
It's
Florida.
the podcast is basically a study guide.
Yeah. If you've listened to the podcast this far, you will know some of the things that happen in Grand Theft Auto 6 next year.
Also, if you really want to scare yourself, could you imagine people 250 years from now listening to this?
Yeah. What are they going to think of? Oh, my God.
They're going to have such a low opinion
Yeah.
of people from the 21st century.
Yeah. It's not good.
Whoops.
Yeah. We're not a Prussian general. We don't have...
Not yet.
Not yet. What are we going to go into battle?
Who you never know.
What the hell? What are you doing over there, Mike?
Oh, good for
I'm
you.
going to lead my dinosaur army to glorious victory.
No,
I don't know against whom, but yeah.
There you go. So there you go. Just random tidbits that we found in the week or so since we last did the podcast. But you know what? Let's get to our first batch of topics. Revolves around the world of sports. It's time for the Sports Sampler.
So you're not good at sports. It's a very small part of life.
Sports. In your face. Ha ha.
That's right. Sports coming at you in your face here in this first part of the show. And before we get to whatever the hell happened on Sunday night, I don't know what the hell even happened. I don't know. We may not even get to that. Let's talk about baseball. Yay, baseball. Remember baseball? Baseball's fun.
Baseball's fun. Baseball's a great distraction. What about baseball?
We have news on the arguably what could go down as the best player of this generation hitting the free agent market. I mean, I still can't believe this actually happened. I really thought the Angels would try and get him back into the building, but Ohtani decided to test free agency, and he was well rewarded with a huge monster contract, 10 years, $700 million deal with the LA Dodgers, not the Angels. So he still stays in the same town, but instead of a red cap, he's wearing a blue cap, and he's going to be part of the National League instead of the American League. But this is huge news for the baseball world. Definitely the biggest contract in North American sports history. Just a ridiculous figure that he's averaging $70 million a year with this contract. I remember there was a time when $70 million was the entire contract.
That was like the total deal. Do you remember? This is going to be a weird, obscure fact. Do you remember? I remember having conversations at the time of when Mike Vick was signed to a $100 million deal.
Yeah.
With the Eagles.
Yeah.
And people lost their minds. How could you pay him that much? Remember, he got on that one hot year and they paid him. Now, that's what people make every year.
Almost $70 million is what Ohtani's going to get.
Yeah.
But this is something I want to talk about, getting into the nitty-gritty details of this. First off, $70 million a year. That's bigger than 6 of the total team's salary cap this upcoming year in 2024. He alone is making more money than like the Oakland Athletics and the Kansas City Royals
together.
Total team.
The second largest contract in baseball is Mike Trout, and he blew that out of the water by like $275 million. Like, it wasn't just a small bump up. It was like entire salaries bump up.
Yeah. So absolutely ridiculous to imagine. But here is the bigger thing that I want to talk about here. And that is the fact that he is going to defer $68 million of his $70 million a year after the contract expires from 2032 to 2043, which you are allowed to do in baseball. As we all know, the famous case of Bobby Bonilla from the New York Mets, that he did a similar thing on a mega contract, and because of that, he gets $1 million a year every July 1st until 2035, because he chose to do a deferred buyout on his contract. Well, Ohtani has chosen to do that with his contract with the Dodgers, which just sounds ridiculous to me that they're going to essentially back end $68 million a year during 2032 to 2043.
Well, it makes perfect sense to me for all the parties involved. Because
yes, to the parties involved, but
it is crazy when you think about it.
Yeah,
like that's
I have a
you have a problem with this.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because apparently in baseball, we looked this up, there is no limit to this.
Right.
Because there's no salary cap in baseball.
Right.
You can just do this however much you want.
Right.
So does that mean the LA Dodgers just have like permission to print money at this rate? Because they can now go after other star free agents and do the same thing. Why not? Let's just go all in for the next 5 years, have the lowest salary cap so you can pay all these mega stars, and then from 2032 to 2043, you shell out $500 million, but you won 2 World Series from it. Like, is this the avenue we're going to go down?
Yeah. I mean, this is the problem with not having a salary cap, and why I think that the NFL does it correctly, and why the NFL has so much parity in it, is because they hold every team to the same standards.
Yep.
You look at teams like the Dodgers. I just looked up there, and this isn't a good metric, but their total value is $4.8 billion. I don't know. That's not like liquid cash, but you have to imagine that the ownership group has a huge amount of cash reserves that they can spend each year. So for teams in these markets, like the Yankees, the Red Sox, the Dodgers, they can just buy as much talent as they want. I think luckily in baseball, buying doesn't necessarily equate to wins because I said this before the podcast. I think a large amount of baseball is luck based, but
There is some element of that.
That's a different conversation. But it does make it harder for other teams to compete. At least,
Yeah.
you know, there's two ways to win. You either have a very talented team, or you just prevent the other teams from getting the talent.
Well, I'll tell you what, the Dodgers are doing that right now because with this move, I mean, they're not done. They can go back in free agency and get another top.
They can keep. Yeah,
You just keep
dipping
going
back into the well, and why not? And that's why this is such a smart move for both parties involved because there is no cap. They can be super flexible with the money like this. So it benefits the team in the short term, but also it benefits Ohtani in the long term because that's when you need the money, not while you're playing. While you're playing, the team takes care of everything. You basically live at the facilities, you eat at the facilities, you travel with the team, everything's paid for by the team. It's when you're done that you're going to need the money. So he's going to get $600+ million 10 years from now when he's ready to retire.
Yeah, and also
that is business.
And also
smarts.
you're forgetting another thing too, is probably when he's done in 2032, he can move out of LA and collect the paychecks and not have to pay California tax.
Right. He's going to move to like Bumble F Oklahoma, you know, and collect $600 million and buy a house for 3 cents.
Yeah.
You know?
At this rate, yeah. So it's just a crazy arrangement that has been made for Shohei Ohtani. I mean,
He may be the best player of all time, though.
I mean, he's definitely going to go down as the best player of this era
Because there are some players who can barely hit, and there are some players who can barely pitch, and he's really good at both.
Like he has numbers that rival professionals on both of those
Right.
On those stats.
I think that's something that always impresses me when I look at him is like he's not just like a pitcher who can skate by. Like he's a good pitcher. He's not just a batter who can like, okay, he's like average depth on any team. He's like a good batter.
Yeah.
You know? That's incredibly rare.
Yeah. Oh,
To have a good one of either of those things.
Once in a lifetime.
Yeah.
I mean, you're talking about almost like Babe Ruth level.
Yeah.
There's been nobody else that can both equally pitch.
There are starting pitchers who are not as good as him. And
Yeah.
and there are like big sluggers on teams who are not as good as him. And he's good at both things simultaneously. Like
Yeah.
legitimately good at them.
Yeah. We'll see how he bounces back though from a Tommy John surgery in terms of pitching.
Yeah, you were saying he might not be used as a pitcher.
I mean,
with LA.
I don't think right away. I think you definitely want to ease him back into that if he's going to be a pitcher on that front.
I just think $700 million for just a hitter is, I think, money wasted.
It is, but you don't want to have any risk of re-injuring the arm and
That's
having
true.
him go to another Tommy John surgery.
That's true.
You know, so you'll take what you can get, and he's still a great slugger. You'll
Yeah.
take what you can get. If he has to be, and
So would he be a designated hitter?
Yep, you plug him in as a DH.
$700 million for a DH?
Sure. Yeah.
Man.
If he's
If you got the money,
if
sure.
he's top 5, oh yeah, it's worth it.
If you got the money, go ahead. That's just
And then if you
insane.
get him back pitching, that's icing on the cake.
Yeah.
Because you the worst case scenario is you fudge up his arm again.
Yeah, and then he's got to have another surgery. And I feel like every time you repair something like that, it's never quite the same.
Right. So definitely better to go on the side of caution with that.
Yeah. It's clear that they are looking at this like an investment. That's why they're deferring all the money to the future because they're looking long term. They're not looking like this is the solution for 2024. This is the solution for 2024 through, whenever.
Yeah. Next 10 years.
But you want to hear an interesting fact, though, is that before he entered the MLB, he had a choice between the Japanese Baseball League and the MLB, and his first choice baseball team was the LA Dodgers. But the Dodgers didn't want to use him as a two-way player.
Yep.
So he decided to stay within the Japanese Baseball League. And now, I don't know how many years later it is now, but now it kind of comes full circle and he's back with his first choice team. But the question still remains: will they use him as a two-way player?
Yeah. We will find out, but I think right away, right off the bat, he'll be a designated hitter because you do not want to re-injure that arm.
At least, I mean, I don't know when he got the surgery, but at least until he's a couple months past full recovery, you know, make sure he's like really back into it.
Right. So there you go. Big news in baseball. Shohei Ohtani to the Dodgers. Massive deal. Whew. Good Lord.
They got to fix these salary caps in other sports.
Yeah. Because, I don't know. I feel like that's like a cheat code. You can just delay. That's what, 600? That's basically $680 million. They just have
Well, the cheat code is
we're worried about that in 2032.
the cheat code is that there's no limit, and then without that limit, you can just move this money wherever you want to on the timeline. You can have it count in the future, in the past, in the present. You can have it count in the afterlife. It's just it's like nebulous. It's wherever they want to. It's like it's monopoly money.
You have to build a pyramid.
They can do whatever they want.
If Shohei Ohtani dies in 2035, they have to build a pyramid to him in L.A.
That's right.
Has a big L.A. sign in the front of it.
I don't know. That'd be pretty cool.
Is he a fan of cats? Can we get a sphinx right next to him?
Giant Sphinx. Do it.
Giants. Yeah, why not?
Okay. You know
well-
what people aren't building monuments to, Rich? The
The
Eagles' performance.
Yeah. Do we really have to get to this?
No, God! No, God, please, no! 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 Oh, no! We suck again!
Yeah.
I
Unfortunately,
think we have to talk about it.
Yep. Sunday night was not a good night for Philadelphia, as the Eagles lost to the Cowboys, 33-13.
I want me some glory hole.
And Jerry Jones got his goddamn glory hole.
got his glory
You
hole.
son of a bitch.
And it is a reminder, I've been here when it was glory hole days, and I've been here when it wasn't. And so having said that, I want me some glory hole.
Dear God, I can't believe we lost to this guy. So, not good. Just Eagles came out flat on almost every single aspect of the ball. It was not fun to watch.
It was really ugly.
Yeah.
Our only touchdown came on defense.
Yep. There's big problems here.
Yeah.
You have Nick Sirianni, who's supposed to be an offensive-minded head coach, and the offense has just turned to ice.
It's just completely stalled. Just
Yeah.
ground to a halt.
Yep.
Then on the flip side, you have the defense. I don't think they just can't stop teams anymore. Like the 49ers scored 6 straight drives. Dallas comes out, puts up 24 points in the first half. And the only reason they stopped scoring is, I think, because they let off the gas
Yeah.
because they were absolutely crushing us.
Yep.
Our one touchdown came on a scoop and score fumble recovery by Jalen Carter. But if he didn't do that, I mean, we're looking at 33-6, maybe even more of disparity in the score if he doesn't scoop and score there.
Yep. This was bad.
It was really bad. I don't know. I'm very down on the Eagles now. I don't know if it's just recency bias, but I said after the San Fran game, people can go back and listen. I said, I don't even mind the loss because sometimes you need something like this to kind of light a fire, reevaluate, kickstart things. You find out who you really are with the game after the loss. Well, if this is who we are, I don't like it.
Yeah.
Because the best passer in the game was our punter.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, the trick punt. Yeah.
The punter had the highest passer rating. The defense scored the only touchdown. These are the hallmarks of a bad team because you shouldn't be relying on trick plays and random scoop and scores to give your team life.
Has the luck officially run out on the Eagles?
I think so. I think that right now we have to take a long, hard look in the mirror and ask ourselves, systemically, is this team built to win in a modern NFL landscape? Because I'm looking at the teams that have been beating us, and they have a lot of similar things in common. They have speedy, rangy linebackers, and they have these more West Coast style offenses. And our offense is built around big plays and sustained ground games, neither of which are working. And our defense is built around getting to the quarterback fast, but we have absolutely nothing in the middle of the field. We have spent so much money on the defensive line, and we've neglected the linebackers and the safeties for so long that teams are like, okay, we're just going to dink and dime you to death.
Get the ball out in 2 seconds.
And the thinking goes, if you force a team into long, sustained drives, there's a higher probability of mistakes. But maybe that worked 10 years ago, but the NFL now is such a science, and players are so finely tuned machines that you can't count on that. It's like they're taking that Jim Johnson defense of bend, don't break, but that's back when defenders could play a style of football that is just not allowed in this era. And it's not possible in this era. Like, you need to actually commit to finding quality linebackers, actual coverage corners, and safeties that can make a difference in today's NFL. Offenses have caught up with us. For the past 10 years, I think we've been, the NFL oscillates back and forth between offensive and defensive. I think we're heading into a defensive kind of shift now. We're seeing a lot of strong defenses this year, a lot of offenses really struggling. I think the defenses are catching up to those modern trends of these speedy receivers. It's all speedy, small receivers. How do you combat that? Get faster on defense.
Yeah. Match speed for speed.
Yeah. And the Eagles are like, no, let's just keep sinking money into the defensive line. But you can't. Receivers are coming into the NFL now running 4.2, 4.1 40 times. Your defensive linemen are not going to get there that fast.
No,
they're just not.
No,
they're just
impossible.
not.
It's the Tom Brady model. Get the ball out in 2 or 3 seconds before the linemen have a chance to sack Brady.
You don't even really need to block them.
Yeah.
Like,
It also negates like a mediocre offensive line.
Yeah.
Just get the ball out as fast as you can.
Yeah.
And it's working on the Eagles.
Joe Burrow and Patrick Mahomes made it all the way to Super Bowls with some of the worst offensive lines.
Yeah.
Just because they had speed on offense.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you need, some talent as well. They had Tyreek Hill, and the Bengals had, what's his face?
Jamar Chase.
But, we have the tools, and my concern is that either Brian Johnson is the worst at calling plays.
Yes.
Or Nick Sirianni's offense is just that bad. But in either of those cases, something is wrong and nothing is being changed.
So this is where I think I might be a little bit more optimistic than you. I don't think it's Nick Sirianni's offense. I really think it's Brian Johnson. I just think he wants everything to go through Jalen Hurts. That's been his boy. That's what he grew up with. That's what has been his success. That's what's been his bread and butter. And he doesn't have anybody else to be like, hey, maybe we should run the ball. Hey, maybe we should,
You think he's not being challenged on the play calls?
Yeah.
Or there's no other voice of reason there?
I think so. And that's where Nick Sirianni does have to step up. Nick Sirianni has done interviews where he says, I really don't want to take away play calling from the offensive coordinator. I think that's the role of the coordinator. I want to be more involved with the game management and stuff like that, blah, 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 blah. Well, guess what? It's not working this year. This is the time. If there's ever been a time, he needs to step in now and correct Brian Johnson. Someone needs to step up and say, hey, this isn't working.
Something on offense needs to change, whether it's the game plan or the play calling. It can't stay the same. And to your point about the play calling, I'm just looking at the targets here towards receivers. We had 23 targets towards A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith, only 5 to the rest of the receivers.
Yeah.
In this past game, they didn't even throw to a running back once. And only 1 target and reception for a receiver other than A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith. They're not even looking at anybody else on the team. I'm not talking about reception. I'm talking about even targeting people.
Targets. Yeah, you got to spread it around.
When the defense knows, okay, they're going to force feed it to A.J. Brown 13 times out of 27 pass attempts.
Yep. It's not good.
It's not good. And then on the ground game, now I do think, hot take, controversial opinion, our offensive line has taken a step back. and that's why they're not running the ball. The few times that they do, it doesn't seem to go anywhere, but they are abandoning it too quickly.
Yeah.
And when people say run the ball, I don't think it's that simple because we've been trying, and every time we try, it just fails. But like that's where that creativity needs to come in.
Yeah, you still got to do it.
You still got to try.
That keeps the defense on their toes.
Like, why don't we see more of Kenneth Gainwell or more Boston Scott or a different type of run instead of those like between the tackles run? Like, why don't we try to like stretch the defense or like anything different? Like, what happened to all those plays where we would pull Kelsey as a lead blocker? Like, where did the creativity go? There's nothing over the middle of the field in passing, and there's nothing to the outside running, and they just abandon both concepts far too quickly.
Yeah. And I think that's where the challenge needs to really be put to practice. I want to see Nick Sirianni challenge Brian Johnson on some of those plays because it's not working. It's not working.
My biggest concern now is that basically this is a 10-3 season that we've just wasted because I don't know how, and I don't think anybody can look me in the face and tell me honestly that this team can somehow in the next 4 weeks become less injured, more energized, younger, completely change their offensive and defensive schemes, and somehow turn it around. Like, these are huge systemic changes that need to happen in the next 4 weeks. Like, we skated by for the longest time, and everybody kept saying, myself included, that the best football is yet to come. Or, well, it was either raining or they're tired or this guy was injured or that guy was injured. I think we're at the point in the season where we're starting to run out of excuses because this is it. This is the home stretch. There's no more excuses.
Yep, there's only 4 games left. And with that in mind, let's look forward to the first of those 4 games in Week 15 with our Fantastic Four picks. So here we go. Let's predict those games.
All right, first up, we have 2 AFC teams fighting for survival. There's a bunch of teams tied at 7 and 6 fighting for those last few playoff spots. First up, we have the Pittsburgh Steelers at the Indianapolis Colts. This is a Saturday afternoon game. That's Saturday at 4:30. Rich, which one of these 7 and 6 teams will take another step closer towards securing a playoff spot?
I really like the Colts. I like Minshew Mania. I like Steve Steichen. He's converting what's left of that decimated offense into a cohesive unit. They're winning games, and they don't care what they have to do to win. On the other hand, the Steelers, they choked games to the Cardinals and the Patriots.
Back to back.
What the hell? I don't know. Mike Tomlin, I don't want to say he's on the hot seat, but that's embarrassing to go back to back and lose both of those games against 2-win teams. I don't like the way the Steelers are trending. I think the Colts at home should be a good matchup for them in this game on Saturday.
I'm going to disagree because even though the Steelers are the road team and they're not favored here, I like the fact that the Steelers have a winning record in the most difficult division in football. I mean, all those teams, they're just kind of cannibalizing each other. But the Steelers, they keep finding ways to win, just like the Colts keep finding ways to win.
Not the last 2 weeks.
Not the last 2 weeks, no, but they've beaten some other good teams. The Bengals, the Browns, Green Bay's had a little bit of resurgence. When I look at the Colts' last 5, they're picking on teams like the Carolina Panthers. They barely eked out a win against the Tennessee Titans and your milk boy.
Yeah.
So, I think that both these teams are in a unique position where they're struggling to win games, but I think that the Steelers have had maybe a little bit tougher of a path, so I tend to side with them here. I'm going to go the Steelers.
All right, disagreement?
Next up, not rare. This season's been kind of lackluster. We talked about that before the podcast. So the matchups have been weird, but this week I think we're going to get a few points of disagreement. Maybe in the next one here we have, I don't know. These are 2 talented teams. The Dallas Cowboys at the Buffalo Bills, Sunday afternoon. Rich, What do you think about this game? The Bills' record is 7-6, but they're still they can still show up in some games. What do you think? Can they do it against the Cowboys?
Yeah, I think the Bills have to. Sean McDermott is basically playing for his job. He's really on the hot seat. If the Bills don't make the playoffs, which they are in danger of missing the playoffs, I think there's going to be calls for his resignation. So I think he's got a lot on the line here at home to face off against the Cowboys. And on the other hand, Dallas, I think they're feeling fat and sassy. I think they're feeling, all high and mighty that they took down the Eagles, that right now technically they're leading the division and all this, high and mighty. I think it's time for some pride going before the fall here. I think the Bills are going to want to win here at home, and of course they're going to want to win, but I think they're going to show up at home here because their playoff future is on the line here. I think they take this one. Desperation game here.
I think we have to disagree again here. I know Buffalo is in do or die mode, and I know Dallas might be a little too fat and happy here. Maybe they focus too much on the Eagles, but I think just in terms of firepower, Dallas is so far and away the better team right now. And the Buffalo Bills have been so incredibly streaky. I joked about this earlier in the season. Win, loss, win, loss, win, loss. They won their last game. That means it's got to be a loss. The only games they can get the same result in back-to-back are losses so far for the Bills. Meanwhile, Dallas is the exact opposite. They seem to be on endless streaks this season. It pains me to say it, and I know it's going to be a very close game, but I think I have to give the edge to Dallas here. They smell blood in the water. If it were the other way around, we'd be saying the Eagles need to win this in order to secure the number one spot in the division. Dallas is thinking the same thing. With an opportunity like this, they're going to want to strike and strike hard and fast. So I, unfortunately, am going to say Dallas. Next up, we have a potential AFC playoff preview. It's the Baltimore Ravens traveling to Jacksonville to face off against the Jaguars in a Sunday prime time game. Rich, who do you like in this matchup?
Well, we kind of were going off of a list of who has been truly dominant this season. It's really hard to kind of pick a team to say that they've been dominant from the start of the season to now. But if I had to take one, I think it's the Baltimore Ravens. They are still just winning big games in the AFC. They hold the number one seed right now. And, I think Lamar Jackson has a fire lit under him this year after everything that went crazy in this past offseason, where people were wondering, is he really a franchise quarterback? Is he worth a big contract? I think he's showing the league that he is. And, you want to say, he's not a true quarterback. When you force him to just pass, I think Lamar Jackson's got some extra fuel to the fire. He wants to show the league that he can lead the Ravens to victory, and I think this is going to be another one here against Jacksonville. I like the Ravens in this matchup.
I really badly want to say Jacksonville because I'm not totally sold on the Ravens. I think that Lamar Jackson has the same issues that Hurts is having, turns the ball over a lot, when forced into passing situations, tends to struggle. They're missing potentially their starting safety in Kyle Hamilton. But I don't think that I can realistically go with the Jaguars here because they've been in a major slump recently, losing some big games against AFC opponents. And I think Ravens are flying high right now. I'm so hesitant to say the Ravens, but they have such a good ground game. They have a staunch defense, and when you put those two things together, it lets you just control the clock, control the game, whatever the other team has going for it. It's really hard for them to gain some footing. Trevor Lawrence has been kind of dealing with either an injury or something going on. Didn't have a great performance last week, so...
he had an ankle sprain, and they shoved him back out on the field, which was surprising.
Yeah, so I'm begrudgingly going with the Ravens, although I don't think they're truly dominant. I think they are beatable.
Okay.
But with the final game, of course, in the Fantastic Four. We always talk about our hometown Philadelphia Eagles traveling to Seattle to face off against the Seahawks. Monday night primetime game. They haven't won in Seattle since, I think it was 2008-ish.
Yep.
Rich, do we stand a chance of winning in Seattle this time?
So, all right. I'm
Just say no and be done with it.
Here's what I'm going to say.
Okay.
One of the best handicappers has a good saying, and that is when you're trying to handicap a team and figure out where they are in the season, a team is never as good as their best game, and they're never as worse as their worst game. You know, everything lies in the median.
Right.
The worst game and the best game are outliers. You can't
Right.
really put too much stock in those extremes.
I like that.
So I think we're coming off of 2 big losses. I think we're all down on the Eagles right now. It looks bad. But the Eagles, remember, they actually do control their own fate. If they can win out, they win the division still.
That's
so I think it needs to start here. I think the Eagles have a shot to rebound, especially on Monday night. You cannot. If Nick Sirianni shows up and they get trounced on Monday night to the Seahawks, I think we're talking, is he on the hot seat? Is there something else wrong? But I think the Eagles can rebound. I think this might be a good bounce back spot. I am going with my optimist side, and I'm going Eagles.
Wow. I appreciate the optimism. I don't feel it. I don't feel it because I just, in that game against Dallas, again, I really like that saying that you said they're not as good as their best and they're not as bad as their worst. Their worst was losing to the Jets and getting absolutely eviscerated by the 49ers. That is rock bottom. So even though they're not that bad, the Seahawks are a slightly above average team. Geno Smith is questionable if he plays. I think they take it. The Eagles always struggle West Coast, and they just look defeated against Dallas. The game after a loss teaches us a lot about the mettle of a team, and what I learned is that right now, mentally, they are not in it. They're going to continue the slide until something miraculous happens. Maybe it's the Seahawks. I hope. One can only hope. I don't see it.
All right, so there you go. Our Fantastic Four picks for week number 15.
A lot of disagreements this week.
Yeah.
It's been rare this season.
Yeah.
We were talking. There's a lot of lackluster teams, a lot of lackluster games.
Well, the way I think the best way to frame it is last year when you watched the whole season last year, you knew the Chiefs and the Eagles were the 2 dominant teams.
They were juggernauts.
Yeah. This year there really hasn't been.
Every team that has only 3 or 4
juggernaut, as
losses,
you said.
yeah, every team that has 3 or 4 losses, you can point to them and go, like, look at the 49ers. They are, quote-unquote, dominant. They're juggernaut. How do you explain the 3-game slide in the middle of the season to, like the Browns and the Bengals?
Yeah, they had some injuries on the offensive side of the ball. They had Sam Tebow, I think, was out during those
So they
3
lose
games.
one guy and they lose 3 games in a row?
Well, you lose a big weapon. So, I mean, look, this is how you do it. Every team has, I think, a weakness.
Yeah. The Ravens, if you force Lamar Jackson to throw the ball, like a quarterback does,
Was that
they fall apart.
Was that the meme? What was that? You put your hands up in the air.
Know. I don't know what that was. I'm just because everyone's
Was
like
that Neil deGrasse Tyson? Like, were you just channeling that?
because it's like such a ridiculous thing. It's like everyone's like, oh, if the Ravens are so hard to stop. Just make Lamar throw the ball. It's like, well, that's what a quarterback does.
Yeah.
They're so hard to stop. Make them play football. The other dominant teams like the Lions, like we don't quite know where they are yet because they're so new to this winning concept.
And they've
right?
lost
lost a
division
couple
games.
recently. The teams who were good last year, the Bills, the Bengals, the Eagles, all looking very suspect or just downright bad.
They lost their quarterback.
Yeah.
That's another thing too.
A lot of
We're
quarterbacks.
now up to 7
Starters.
teams.
7 starters.
Yeah.
Starting quarterbacks down. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's almost a quarter of the league. The starting quarterback at week 1 are out.
Yeah.
So it's been a weird season.
It's been a weird year. Yeah. maybe capped off with this final story we have in the Sports Sampler in the 3-minute drill.
All right, there you go. 3
Let's
minutes.
just dive right into it. We talked about the juggernauts of last year. One of them was the Kansas City Chiefs, but how the mighty have fallen. And maybe we're seeing the results of that Patrick Mahomes mega contract, because one of the areas that they skimped on recently has been wide receiver. And the wide receivers are starting to cost them games. Kadarius Toney had an egregious offsides. I know there was controversy. This dude was like on the defensive line. He was so far over the ball, right?
Yeah, I think the line judge said something like, I couldn't see the football.
He was obstructing the football.
Yeah.
He was so far offsides. So I get it. It's frustrating. But Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid absolutely lose their minds at the end of the game. Patrick Mahomes screaming and shouting. But the most embarrassing thing for him is the cameras picked up him congratulating, quote unquote, Josh Allen after the game. And all he can do is complain about the penalty thrown during that last drive. And I'm sitting here thinking like, oh, so it's not okay to decide a game in the closing moments with a random, seemingly, out of place flag that hasn't been called all game.
Yeah, right?
Isn't that curious?
Yeah, isn't that interesting?
Patrick.
Mr. Mahomes.
Mr. Mahomes. He did on Monday apologize. He didn't apologize. He admitted that he regretted probably the encounter. If you listen to him, he's like, yeah, I probably regret that. Do you probably regret it, or are you sorry? There's a big difference.
I feel like this should have been a what's pissing you off instead of 3-minute drill.
It really pisses me off. I lost a lot of respect for Mahomes and Big Red because they've been having the benefit of those calls for years now, and something doesn't go their way, and all of a sudden, it's like boo-hoo. Yeah, guess what? I think Mahomes has played his best football because that team does not have the weapons that it needs to succeed.
They are missing Tyreek Hill. There are games this season, if they have Tyreek Hill, they win those games, and this year they don't.
Also, Travis Kelce's like solidly in his 30s. Like, he's not getting younger as we get further into Mahomes' career.
Yeah.
And once he passes that crest, it is over.
He better go become Mr. Taylor Swift.
He might be. That's a very lucrative job.
Yeah.
But Rich, how do you feel about this? Is this what's pissing you off as well?
I mean, yeah, look, you lose a close game, especially one with a lot of playoff implications. Yeah, it hurts, it stings, you feel stolen from. So I can get the feeling, but wow. Yeah, the Chiefs have fallen, and it's just what we said before. It's just been a weird league. There's no dominant team, it feels like, this year.
I've got balls of steel.
Well, so not the Chiefs.
We got balls of steel. There you go.
We do, because we keep getting kicked in them.
That's good.
That's how I feel as an Eagles fan. I'm like, we're 10-3.
I've got balls of steel.
Right now, I feel like we're 3-10. God, yeah, I lost a lot of respect for the Chiefs and the Eagles. Lost a lot of respect for all of football this past week.
That's why Mikey's truly upset. He lost his football.
I did.
Yeah. All right. Well, you know what? Mikey's not feeling good, so that means we need to take a break. We need to let Mikey recover. We need to get some tissues, pump some vitamin C in you so we make you feel better.
Yeah.
So we'll do that during the break because we are done sports, but we still have the entertainment entree and the non-fortune cookie odd news on the rebound when we come back. Don't go anywhere. This is the Crispy Noodle Podcast.
Ready for the weekend? Happy Friday. Hi, my name's Marie, and I'm an artist who's been making Happy Friday doodles every week for over 7 years. And now you can own my art collection in this Volume 1 and Volume 2 art series. These doodles span across multiple themes, yearly festivities, various countries, languages, and more. Both coffee table books have something for everyone and are the perfect conversation starter or gift for a friend. Really, anyone who enjoys a good weekend. Available on Amazon, Ingram, Book Baby,
Barnes & Noble,
and more. Visit happyfridaydoodles.com/books and get your copies today. Let's celebrate the best day of the week. Happy Friday.
If you go to Taco Bell at 3 in the morning, this is what you're going to get. Yeah,
That clip is already coming into play.
Yes,
I love it.
already. So there you go.
Stop.
What happened?
The thing went on.
Well, how did that turn on? That was
I don't
weird.
know. The fart sound.
The fart sound turned Amazon on?
I think the fart sound turned on my Echo.
What the
I
hell?
don't know. It turned on.
What are you doing, Jeff Bezos? What are you into?
Basically, he's listening to fart sounds.
He's listening to our fart sounds. Oh, my God.
I changed the trigger word to fart. I got to fart at it now. I don't know what happened.
That's really awkward. You're going to have to... Excuse me.
Excuse me. How can I help you?
You may need some bowel.
Do you want me to automatically order you Pepto-Bismol? I don't know why. I don't know why I'm talking to it solely through farts now.
It actually, you fart into it.
Fart once for yes and twice for no.
No. Actually, you fart into the device, and then
Yeah.
Amazon can determine what
you-
medicine you need.
Oh, right. Wow. That's next level right there. Or what you've been eating and what you want to reorder.
Oh.
I detect Cheetos. Would you like to subscribe?
Would you like a bulk order of Cheetos?
Oh, yes, please.
Cheetos ordered.
Cheetos. That story took a turn.
Yeah.
Cheetos ordered.
Okay. All right. There you go. The latest from Jeff Bezos and Amazon.
It's amazing technology, I tell you.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We're back here on the Crispy Noodle Podcast. Moving away from whatever happened on Sunday night. We don't care about that.
Yes, please.
Yeah, what is even Sunday night? Nobody likes Sunday night.
We should just skip it.
Yeah, because it's like you gotta get ready for the week again.
Yeah.
Don't worry about that. Let's
Just
focus.
it didn't happen.
Right, didn't happen. Let's focus on the future. There you go. And with that in mind, we move forward from sports and go into the next segment where we got movies and TV and video games and stuff like that. Folks, it is time for the entertainment entree.
And now, the latest in movies.
The Simpson guy writes to movies. Dear Die Hard, you rock. Especially when that guy was on the roof.
Music.
I know what that is. That's music.
Video games.
I'm Commander Shepard, and this is my favorite store on the Citadel.
Celebrities.
You really know Warren Beatty? Yes, I do. I took a leak next to him once at the Golden Globes.
And more.
You were the all-singing, all-dancing crap of the world.
This is the entertainment entree.
All right, folks, we are in entertainment entree, and we're going to kick it off with the segment where Mike is going to let you know what you should keep an eye out for this upcoming weekend with new movies and TV and video game news in Mike's This Week in Entertainment. All right, Mikey, what do you got for the people?
All right, in movies, we have Wonka hitting theaters this week. It's a new family-friendly origin story of Willy Wonka during his early years as a chocolatier. It has a star-studded cast and decent to above-average reviews. It currently has an 83% on Rotten Tomatoes with an average review of 7.4 out of 10. So if you're looking for something to do with the whole family during the holiday season, this is a good option. Go check out Wonka, hitting theaters this week. But the real news for me and Rich here is in video games. God of War Ragnarok Valhalla is a free God of War DLC out now on PlayStation 5. It was surprise announced during the Game Awards. It is a short replayable experience. I saw somewhere that it's about 8 hours of content, depending on how skilled you are. That basically is a roguelite where you keep replaying the same combat scenarios over and over again with different loadouts and different armors and magic and weapons. And that there's some kind of epilogue-like story narrative aspect to it. So you can play it at any point during the game, but it's best played after the main events of the story. This is a free DLC for everyone who owns God of War Ragnarok, so go check that out now, exclusively on PlayStation 5. And that's what we're looking forward to this week in entertainment.
All right, Mikey, thank you for that segment. And yeah, if you're big God of War fans like we are, definitely a big weekend for you to check out some free DLC. But something else, something else that we need to mark the death of.
Yeah.
First, the death of the Eagles season, and now it's time for the death of E3.
Yes. So, unfortunately, earlier this week, it was sadly announced by the Entertainment Software Association that the Electronic Entertainment Expo E3 is officially dead. They've said that it is. It's not coming back. They've decided to bring it to a close. This is after several years of off and on again and canceled and delayed shows. So obviously in 2020 it was canceled due to the pandemic. In 2021 it was an all-digital event, but nobody really liked it. So in 2022 it was canceled. And then again this year it was canceled as well. And, you know, it's crazy because for like 20 years, E3 was this huge thing that every developer and publisher and fan and media person would focus on. But something happened in those couple of years after 2020 that all of these developers and publishers switched to their digital showcases. You know, they have like the the PlayStation live streams and
they all do their own thing.
Yeah, now. Nintendo, I forget what it's called, like Showcase or something. And so there was just no place for E3 anymore between the digital showcases, the Game Awards having trailer reveals and everything, and smaller showcases like what's his name? Jeff Keighley doing what is it called? The one that kind of replaced E3 that's been getting bigger and bigger each year. But yeah, there's just no place for E3 anymore in this new digital landscape. So it's a sad moment for gamers. But Rich, have you been missing it at all?
No, you could kind of see the writing on the wall after COVID. Like,
yeah.
You knew that this was coming down the pike.
And that's kind of my thing, too, is that E3 was fun, but like, I think I have more fun waiting and watching for the PlayStation streams that they do, you know, because it's just PlayStation specific and I'm a PlayStation fan. So, you know, I can just focus on the stuff that I like and I don't have to sit through all the other stuff. And it's great with it being digital. They do them more frequently. It's more specific to fan bases and audiences. E3 was just a very antiquated way of doing it.
Yeah.
You know? So
it's like industry trade show kind of a thing, and it's
but like also fans and also reveals of new stuff.
Is that what fans want? No.
Yeah. So it's sad because I enjoyed it, but I found myself not really minding that much every year when it was canceled because I knew that I was going to get the same information and content elsewhere.
Yeah, I feel the same way. Like, sorry. Yeah. Like, I know it's a marker that, like, you know, it used to be the biggest thing, but now it's just kind of faded away.
Now developers just communicate directly with fans. Look at Rockstar put out Grand Theft Auto 6's trailer. It broke every record, and they didn't need a trade show to do it. They just did it.
Right. You don't need this.
You know,
so it makes sense.
God of War and Sony announced the Valhalla DLC during the Game Awards. Like, you don't need E3 anymore. So
No. So, yeah, I
small,
agree.
sad trumpet, but it is dead.
Yeah. So sorry about that, but E3 officially done.
But there is some life in entertainment.
Yes.
Because after the strikes, everyone was wondering what would happen with Hollywood and award season. Well, the Golden Globes is happening right on schedule. It's happening in January, and they announced the nominees for the Golden Globes recently. It's the first award show of the season, a good indicator for Oscars and Emmys. And of course, it's also the first major one after the strikes. So everybody is eager to see, what entertainment properties kind of survived and was able to gain a lot of press and notoriety during that doldrum in entertainment. So why don't we just dive into it and start talking about these Golden Globe nominees? First thing to note, there are 2 new categories. One for best stand-up comedy or television show or television special. I think that's interesting because that's kind of like a new genre on Netflix you see a lot more now.
Yeah.
The stand-up comedies, yeah.
They've been devoting money to that,
Yeah, so I like the fact that they broke that out into its own separate category instead of like variety show or like, special or whatever limited series. It gets its own moment. And this is also an interesting one. Cinematic and box office achievement.
Yeah. Basically public.
Basically the popular movies.
Yeah.
And this is kind of what the Oscars tried to do with I think it was called Best Popular Movie.
Yeah.
But what do you think about the Cinematic and Box Office Achievement Award?
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's good to have that in there because there are movies that aren't going to be critically acclaimed that you like, though. It's the way it happens.
Right.
It's a place for those, superhero movies and, those ones that aren't highbrow, if you will.
Yeah. I like this because it gives the viewers what they want. This is the thing that the Oscars is always complaining about, like nobody watches. And they kind of try to half-heartedly do the best popular picture nominee.
Yeah. So this category has Barbie, Guardians of the Galaxy 3, John Wick 4, Mission Impossible, Dead Reckoning, Oppenheimer still in it. Okay. Spider-Man, Super Mario Bros. Movie, and Taylor Swift. Yeah, Taylor Swift's going to win that one.
What I like about this category that is different than the popular movie category is that you'll notice some of those movies also are still nominated for Best Motion Picture, Drama, or Comedy or Animated. Yeah. So there's overlap there. It allows a movie to be cross-listed across a couple different genres. And I think it's important to recognize that these are movies that are both box office successes, but also still cinematic. You don't see like crap being in there. These are all generally well-received movies as well. They're just not cinematic. They're not the highbrow dramas, but there's an element of cinematic nature to them.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I think it. You know what would have been a good one for this category? Inception. Movies like that.
Well, I mean,
I think that Inception
should have been
Best Picture.
Yes, thank you.
But what I'm
you
saying,
know me too well.
But what I'm saying, like Oppenheimer, Christopher Nolan's movies always straddle that middle ground between like blockbuster and cinema. So I think that's like a good example of movies that deserve to be in that category.
Okay. So we have that. Is there any? We don't have time to go through all the categories. There's so many.
No, let's just hit some of the major categories. And because we talked about Oppenheimer, let's talk about Best Motion Picture Drama. This is the one that, of course, everyone looks to as an indicator for potential Oscar wins.
Yeah.
So we have a couple that I've never heard of, but a couple that I absolutely have heard of. We have Anatomy of a Fall, Killers of the Flower Moon, which recently came out. That's the new Martin Scorsese film, right?
Yep.
We have Maestro, Past Lives, The Zone of Interest, and of course Oppenheimer, which I think is far and away the best film of the year. I haven't seen the other ones. I'm planning on checking out a few of them, but for my money, Oppenheimer was and is the movie to beat. Did you get a chance to see Oppenheimer?
No, I have not. I know.
Richard.
I know.
Richard. No, stop the podcast right now. Go watch it.
I know. I want to go see it. I know. Just everything has happened. I'm sorry. This is the way 2023
Don't
is
apologize to
going
me. Apologize to them.
But
No,
I have heard the bookies on this.
Yeah.
And the
Is
favorite.
it Oppenheimer?
No, the favorite is Killers of the Flower Moon.
God, why?
Yeah, Scorsese, De Niro, DiCaprio. It sounds
circle.
It
jerk.
sounds like it sounds like it's like a formula to win awards.
Christ.
But as of right now, it is the betting favorite.
It's always the
so.
same old farts. Look, maybe I'll change my tune after I watch it.
Yeah.
Is it under 5.5 hours?
If that's your guideline, yes.
Okay.
It's actually like 3 something. It's long. It's a long movie.
I'll say this. Scorsese films feel long. Oppenheimer did not. Christopher Nolan did a really good job of making it feel sprightly. And it's on a timer.
Oh, okay. All of a sudden, Mike's Christmas tree went off.
For non-video listeners, like the Christmas tree just like died.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's on a timer. It's
good.
intentional.
All right. Thank God.
It's telling us to pick things up.
Yeah.
Yeah. So my money is on Oppenheimer.
We're closing down over here.
They're shutting down the lights on the set.
Talk faster.
Meanwhile,
get to the TV.
So that was.
Shut up about the movies. Get to the TV category.
I know you want to talk about TV because you want to talk about the drama category because that is where the real big hitters are, and the comedy shows as well. A lot of big shows. Best television series drama, 1923, The Crown, The Diplomat, The Morning Show, and then, of course, two personal favorites, The Last of Us and Succession. Rich, I think it goes without saying that The Last of Us should win. No, I'm kidding. It's Succession. It's Succession.
It
right?
has to be. I really hope it is. I would be very disappointed if they chose not to reward Succession and its fantastic final season.
I would be shocked. I know these other shows are very good and very deserving. The Last of Us in particular was a fantastic show, but nothing came close to Succession and the dramatic twists and turns, the acting, just the overall pace and vibe and tenor of the show.
Yeah. There's a reason why it's got 9 nominations.
Yes, it leads the categories in television with 9 nominations. There's not anything really close to it either, because the next 2 most nominated shows are The Bear and Only Murders in the Building with 5 apiece. So it's like well ahead of the pack, and I think it deserves it. But I did want to take a moment to flip to the musical or comedy category because I think that even though Succession was the best overall show, the musical or comedy category is just absolutely freaking stacked.
It
and
is.
I don't know
It
where
is.
to go with this. Abbott Elementary, Barry, The Bear, Jury Duty, Only Murders in the Building, and Ted Lasso. I've only not seen one of those shows, but of the other 5, just flip 5 coins. I don't know which one to pick.
Honestly, I kind of really hope for Jury Duty because that was such a that took a lot of preparation to pull that off.
Oh wait, Jury Duty. I've seen all of them. I've forgotten about Jury Duty. That's the guy.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Yep. The guy. Yeah. The fake case and everything.
The fake case. Yeah. I completely forgot.
That took a lot of planning to pull off, and having to get James Marsden in it to actually act as himself, and the fact they pulled it off, and like the guy actually didn't know that it was a fake trial the entire time.
I'm annoyed. I forgot that I saw Jury Duty and what it was. Damn.
I don't know. That's what. That's where there should be a popular. What was the thing before? Cinematic and
the
box
cinematic and
there should be a television popular achievement award. Jury Duty should get something.
Yeah,
that was such a crazy show.
I actually agree. That was absolutely wild, and it was legitimately fun and hilarious the entire time.
Yeah,
but I'm going to be heartbroken at whoever wins musical or comedy. Because I want all of them. Have you seen The Bear?
Yes. I saw the first season, yeah.
Oh, man, because that right now is
I enjoyed it.
Leaning towards my favorite in this category. Just absolutely gripping. I don't know that it's really a comedy. It's
Yeah,
it's like more a drama, but
Yeah.
I feel like they felt it might have more success. It's a dramedy.
Yeah.
And actually this is just a comment on TV trends in general. There's a lot of dramedy style shows. It's like the new hit genre.
Yeah.
Because Barry is not, I mean, it's
Definitely not the fourth season. The fourth season of Barry's very dark.
It's a lot of things, but a straight up comedy, it is not.
No.
Ted Lasso as well. I know you don't have Apple TV Plus, but like talks about psychological issues and loss and like a lot of heavy subject. Like dramedy is that's like the new in vogue
I
genre.
will say season 3 of Only Murders in the Building is a musical.
That is the most musical and comedy of the bunch. Absolutely.
Yeah. So that fits.
But yeah, that category just absolutely stacked, and I just know I'm going to be devastated at like I want all of them to win, so just by nature I'm going to be upset.
Well, my one that I'm going to be disappointed in is best performance in a TV series for drama.
Oh yeah.
I mean, literally, that's everybody. I feel like should get an award.
Yeah.
Brian Cox, Kieran Culkin, Jeremy Strong, all from Succession are nominated. You also have Pedro Pascal nominated.
Yep.
For Last of Us. Dominic West too in The Crown. That's also an underrated role. And then Gary Oldman is always of
course, a classic
nominee as well. So that's one I'm going to be disappointed to see who loses that one.
Yeah. It just goes to show that despite the strike and despite everything, this was an absolutely stellar year for TV. Movies were pretty good, but I've seen way more of those shows than I have of the movies.
Yeah. So, is there anything else to mention? Because we are running a little bit over.
Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse is going to win animated film.
Okay, there you go. Mike will be very
and
happy.
maybe best cinematic and box office. It was good. Go see it.
Okay, there you go. We got to end it there because we got to get to our final segment, the non-fortune cookie odd news.
We've been talking about cool and its ramifications and how it applies to the hip scene. But maybe you could give us some examples now of the opposite of cool, uncool. Just exactly what is uncool?
My nipples look like milk duds.
Holy shnikes.
It's time for the non-fortune cookie odd news.
It's not of this world. I don't know exactly what it is or what it's doing, but this is not human intelligence, okay? It's not human intelligence we're facing.
How you doing? Me? I'm doing great.
I don't make this stuff up.
I'll take a pound of nuts.
That's a lot of nuts! That'll be $4, baby! You want fries with that?
I seen the celery dance across the baseball fields.
You had me at Meat Tornado.
No, go past this. Past this part. In fact, never play this again.
Okay. What does that mean?
And now it's time for the non-fortune cookie odd news.
So sit back, get everything you need to get from the kitchen. Be sure and empty the bladders. Go to the bathroom because you're in for a hell of a ride.
Odd news.
That's right, everyone. It's time for the non-fortune cookie odd news here in the segment. Rich researches the news, he reads the news, and he reacts. And I react to the... Somebody reacts to the news.
Somebody reacts.
Somebody's doing something.
The Christmas tree's going to react.
It might. Don't count it out.
Yeah.
But the point is, though, that he finds and hides these stories so that all of my reactions are my genuine gut reactions to hearing these stories for the very first time. I don't know what's about to happen. You guys don't know what's about to happen. And even Rich doesn't know what's about to happen because these stories always take us down wacky and wild paths. And I'm ready to get started. Where are we heading to and why?
For this story, we are going to Indiana.
Oh, weird.
Yeah, right? Indiana.
Nothing happens there.
Except for this.
Except for this one thing.
Yeah, this story happened.
All right, Indiana.
We're going to follow the case of 32-year-old Christopher Boyd.
Okay. It's a pretty normal name in a pretty normal state. Like, everything is just very average so far.
Yep.
I'm worried.
So far, so average.
Yeah.
I feel like that should be a saying. So
far, so average.
So far, so average.
I'm going to start saying that. When
Yeah.
somebody's like, how's it going? So far, so average.
Yeah.
And people are like, what?
Put that on a bumper sticker.
Oh, man, that's a great idea.
Yeah.
So far, so average.
So far, so average. Yeah, I like that. Anyway, yes, this is that story so far. We have 32-year-old Christopher Boyd. He was a passenger in a vehicle that was pulled over around 2 in the morning on an obstructed license plate.
Okay.
That's what started this story.
Yeah, you can't typically obstruct them. People need to be able to see them. That's the whole point.
Yeah, not good. You got to be able to see it.
Yeah. Whenever I see somebody with like one of those tinted license plates and like all the windows tinted, I'm like, you're up to something.
Yeah.
Like, what do you hide? Like, you're hiding everything. The license plate, the view of the car. What are you doing?
Yeah.
Just have normal windows and license
Have
plates.
you not been arrested yet?
Right?
Yeah. Well, that happened to this driver. The cops interviewed the driver, a second passenger, and they were both fine and were allowed to be released. But the cops talked to this Christopher Boyd.
Oh, no.
And noted that something seemed off on him.
Oh, man. Did he get the other two people in the car in crazy amounts of trouble for whatever dumb thing he just did?
No, I think it's the other way around.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the driver and the second passenger, you guys are free to go. They seemed normal.
Right.
Like normal Indiana. So far, so average.
So far, so average.
Those two guys seemed fine.
That's the state slogan.
Yeah. That is for Indiana. That sounds like...
You're driving across country. You drive in Indiana. So far, so average.
Call Indiana up. We got your state
I think
slogan.
it's a great idea.
Yeah.
Honestly.
So far, so average. I mean, what does Indiana do?
What is Indiana known for?
Hoosiers? That's the only thing I can think of.
What is that? College basketball?
Yeah.
Okay, whoop-de-doo.
Like
There's
that
like
was-
400 other teams.
That was a good movie. You know,
don't
Gene
know.
Hackman. But other than that, that's your one thing?
I can't think of anything Indianapolis.
Colts.
Like the Colts, like the draft and the combine are there sometimes.
The combine's
The
there.
combine is there.
Woo.
Okay.
The combine, do people get really excited for it?
The state motto is the crossroads of America. So you're literally just driving through it.
No, get rid of it. It's now so far, so average.
I like so far, so average. I think it's
Put
better.
that on a bumper sticker. There you go. That's Indiana's new license plate. Or their bumper sticker.
Or
Could be
all
their
of the
license
above.
plate, you
All
know?
of the above.
Does anybody even do people really pay attention to this?
No, they're covered up.
Yeah, they're covered up with this guy here. Yeah. So, all right. Anyway.
So the first two guys are so far, so average.
Right. They're fine. They're free to go.
But the third guy.
But Christopher Boyd, yeah, there's something off about this guy.
Okay.
So the cops detained him and decided to do a pat down of Mr. Boyd.
Oh, no.
In his right sock, they found a small baggie.
Oh, no.
And in the baggie, it turned out was illegal narcotics.
That makes sense.
Boyd claimed that he thought the pills were prescribed Percocet, and he thought that it was fine because he got it from his doctor, which is his Aunt Trish, according to the police.
This is jail. You don't get to choose your mommy and your dad and your Aunt Lily. I'm your aunt.
Well, no, it wasn't Aunt Lily. It was Aunt Trish.
It was Aunt Trish, yeah. Sorry.
I don't know why he's just trying to throw Aunt Trish under the bus here.
Yeah,
He's
poor
like,
Aunt
officer, it
Trish.
was Aunt Trish. But also, medicine is prescribed to you. Rich, when you take prescription medicine, where do you normally keep it? In those little orange bottles, right?
Yeah.
They're orange for a reason, so you can see them. It obstructs the light, so it doesn't, like, degrade the medicine inside.
Yeah.
Do you typically put them in your socks?
Yeah. Not usually.
Not usually. In a baggie.
With my money.
It's like, oh, I'm going to be out and about. I better put my pills in my sock.
Yeah.
So it can get all nice and damp with my sweaty feet. And
Well, they were specially made from my Aunt Trish, so it's, it's very important.
right.
Very important to my heart and my foot.
This is jail. You don't get to choose your mommy and your dad and your Aunt Lily. I'm your aunt.
the only medicine you should be putting in your sock is like foot cream.
Yeah.
You shouldn't be putting any other medicine in your sock.
Yeah. Boyd claimed that he needed the painkiller because he had a bullet lodged in his spine.
Go get it out.
I mean, if that's
what
true.
What are you doing?
That's
what are you doing driving around at 2 a.m. with apparently prescription Percocet in your sock and a bullet in your spine?
Yeah. I don't think that's how injuries work.
He went to the ER. They're like, bullet in the spine. He's like, cool.
Can you walk on that?
When can I be discharged? They're like, sir, we should probably take it out. It's like, nah.
Can you walk on it? All right, we'll see you back in a week.
Do you think that's what they do? Like, well, we can't take the bullet out now.
We don't want to go in. You're not an emergency case.
I feel like it's like, well, it didn't kill you. It's like, I guess.
This is like some weird movie plot. Ooh, he's got a bullet in his spine.
I know nothing. Oh, what? Like it gives him superpowers or
something, yeah.
Or rather disables him and he lives his whole life and then they're like, oh, it's like Homer with the crown and up his brain.
Right. Or the world is not enough. The evil Renard, his bullet is lodged in his brain a certain way so he doesn't feel pain.
Is it like that? Does this guy have superpowers?
Right. By this logic, he should have superpowers or something.
But here's the thing. I don't know a lot about the body, but I feel like if you go in to a doctor's office or a hospital and they discover a bullet in your spine, I feel like they want to take that out.
Immediately, yeah.
I don't think they're like...
It's not something like,
take 2 Percocet and call me in the morning.
Yeah, we'll get around to it.
Or we'll schedule your surgery in a month or 2, see how it goes.
Right.
Because the body heals over that bullet and it's going to make it even worse. But I think the trick here is that there's no bullet.
Well, yeah, Dr. Costanzo, you're onto something
I think I figured it out.
Yeah.
I think he's just a druggie.
Yeah. So before he was placed in the cop cruiser, he was searched. And he claimed that, quote, I cannot spread my legs due to the bullet in my spine.
Convenient.
Yes.
Convenient. We got to search you everywhere. I can't open my legs. The bullet.
Yeah. What do you want me to do?
What was between his legs?
So while searching in Boyd's groin area, Boyd noticeably tensed up. The cops
because of the
him,
bullet.
Yeah, it was the bullet. Yeah, this bullet's very painful.
Yep.
Yeah. How this is what happens.
How many other drugs did they find?
When the cops asked him if he had anything hidden in his groin or buttocks, he said he did not. They still took him into the cop car and drove to the county jail. When he got out of the car and was walking inside the county jail, cops noted that Boyd was now walking, quote, with a noticeable limp and appeared to be clenching his buttocks when he walked.
Oh, my God. Because of the bullet.
Yeah, boy, this bullet is really...
Bullet is doing wonders.
There's a lot of damage being done because he doesn't have his drugs now that were in his sock.
If they just let him take his weird sock drugs...
He would have been fine.
You would have been fine.
Yeah.
There was a bit of a nastiness last night, yes? Some very extreme nastiness, yes? Yes.
Yeah.
Can't wait to see what falls out of this guy's butt. It's great because you can see where it's going.
Yes.
But there's still suspense.
Yes. So, as a precaution, they then placed him through a body scanner, which, ding, 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 detected large objects around his groin area.
Uh-oh.
When they asked him to do a strip search,
I can't because of the bullet.
Yeah, he said he couldn't bend down, but
oh my God.
That's when they offered to take off his clothes for him.
You're not going to get one over.
Take your damn clothes off.
You're not going to pull one over on them. They know.
Take your damn clothes off.
That's actual,
I know. If I know, they know.
That's actual audio from the county jail.
Yeah.
Take your damn clothes off.
Yeah, at that point.
I can't bend over.
So the strip search revealed that he had 2 more plastic bags containing pot around his scrotum area. But then they noticed that he squatted down.
Oh, my God.
And a cop looked behind his buttocks and noted that an object was protruding from the rectum.
There was a bit of a nastiness last night, yes? Some very extreme nastiness, yes? Yes.
And according to the police report, it was a gun.
I know some women who could hide a machine gun in there.
Yeah.
I just don't know how. Oh, my God.
I know some women who could hide a machine gun in there.
Yeah.
I just don't understand how or why.
Yep.
What kind of gun?
Boy, you walked right into my next question. Yep, the police report noted that the confiscated pistol was a Smith & Wesson Bodyguard with a .380 caliber. and I have a picture of it for you.
Oh, okay.
For our visual feed
So
here.
it's a smaller gun,
but it's up there.
But it's definitely up there. I can see why he was walking with a limp and clenching.
And there's his mugshot, by the way. So he looks he looks serious, but at least he doesn't look in pain now. The mysterious bullet in the spine must be gone now.
The cops cured him.
There you go.
I don't think it was a bullet in the spine. I think it was a gun up the butt.
Yeah, I think that's what did it. Not a mysterious bullet in the spine.
They also typically remove those in the emergency room.
yeah, that would be your first.
But I like the fact that he was hiding the pot by his balls, but that the illegal painkillers, the narcotics, were just in his sock. I feel like it should be the other way around, right?
Yeah.
I feel like the Schedule 2 or 3 narcotics are worse than pot is Schedule 1, but in terms of drug classification,
I think it depends. Doesn't it depend on the state now?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I just know that they're all bad, and you shouldn't hide them from the cops.
Yeah.
You should not have them illegally.
Yeah. So yes, it weighs around 12 ounces, and the gun is 5 inches long.
I feel like that's a lot to put up a butt.
Yeah, that's not easy.
Definitely not. He had to use a lot of lube. But my thing is, like, where is he going with the gun? Whenever somebody puts a gun up their butt, where are they going with it? They're trying to get it to someone, I guess. But then you get to that location, and you have a very awkward conversation because they're like, I would like to purchase the illegal gun that you've smuggled for me. And then you go, give me 1 second. And you go into the bathroom, and then you come out with a gun?
I know some women who could hide a machine gun in there.
Yeah.
And my first question is, did you sanitize that?
Yeah, give it a good washing.
Give it a good wash. Go back in there. I didn't hear the water running. Go back in there. Give it a good wash.
Please sanitize it for me. Thank you.
Do you get a discount if it's a butt gun? Like, if you're buying a butt gun, I'm not paying full market price. I'm just not.
You got to at least give me a 25% discount on
minimum.
That. Come on, help me out here.
Minimum. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
Like, where are you going with a butt gun? You're trying to smuggle it to someone or to someplace, but then getting it out.
I know some women who could hide a machine gun in there.
It's a problem. It's a problem.
A police check of Boyd's criminal history revealed prior convictions for attempted murder, burglary, and domestic battery.
Jesus.
He was listed under the serious violent felon and domestic batterer list.
Oh,
that's a thing?
That's the first I've heard of that in the odd news.
That's a thing, apparently.
That sounds very serious.
Yeah.
This person should not have guns or drugs. Or maybe even be walking around.
Well, that being on that list is supposed to prevent him from possessing a handgun. So he's been charged with an assortment of felony gun charges, felony drug charges, gun charges, and trafficking charges.
Wow.
And he doesn't have a bond, so he's stuck in the county jail.
Damn.
So
just don't do illegal stuff.
What about those two guys? I want to go back to the beginning of the story.
Yeah, what happened to them?
Yeah, they were free.
They were
okay.
They were just driving around. They were like, I don't know, a couple of buddies getting McDonald's late at night. Then all of a sudden,
how bad can Christopher be?
Chris just gets dragged off in a paddy wagon because he's got drugs and guns up his butt.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, they're like, the fries are cold. Like,
I
the
guess
whole night is ruined.
I guess we're going to eat his burger. We don't want to let it go to waste.
That's true.
Yeah. So
that's true.
That's the cost of doing drugs. You lose your meal.
I'm on drugs again.
Random side note, he's back.
What?
Oh, no, that's not. Never mind.
Who did you think that was?
That was Alex Jones. It's not Alex Jones, but Alex Jones is back.
No, Alex Jones, though, would probably be the one shoving the gun up his butt.
Yeah. They sound similar.
Jim Cornette and Alex Jones?
Yeah, they do.
Oh, well, there you go. That's the two comparison.
I'm on drugs again.
You're telling me they don't sound the same?
A little bit. I don't know about exactly the same, but a little bit.
But anyway, back to the story at hand.
Yeah.
You lose your burger if you have a gun up your butt.
Yes. And
so don't do it.
And if you're in Indiana, so far, so average.
So far, so average.
There you go. That's your new motto. Courtesy of the Crispy Noodle Podcast.
You can send the marketing checks to the Crispy Noodle Podcast.
Yes, thank you very much.
Thank you.
We don't make money off of this podcast, so that would be
We're
nice.
basically an ad agency.
Yes. We're trying to come
We
up
just
with
helped
good
an
ideas.
entire state with their marketing for 2024.
Yeah. So there you go. We helped out. Put that on our resume. We're also a marketing
It's
agency.
right on the resume.
Yeah, put that on the business card.
Yep.
All right. Well, that is the story I have for you. And with that, we got to start wrapping up this episode. It's been a crazy one. It's been very, very therapeutic to go through the disappointment of the Eagles' loss, but then rebounding with the looking forward of the Golden Globes, and then that crazy story in the odd news.
We started on a low, but we ended on a high.
Yeah.
With Percocets.
And you know what? I think with the low at the beginning and the high at the end, it was so far so average.
There you go.
Perfect.
Full circle.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
So there you go. That is the Crispy Noodle podcast. If you like what you heard, make sure you go to our website, thecrispynoodle.com. Make sure you follow us on all the social media channels. But most importantly, make sure you have a way to get every episode of the Crispy Noodle podcast sent to you. We have 3 main ways of doing it. The first one is on YouTube. Just go to our YouTube page, hit that subscribe button, and you'll get the episode sent straight to your YouTube account. The second one is right on Facebook. Usually we can get the episode up on Facebook, and you're good to go. We've had some weird issues lately the last couple of weeks where they don't upload right away on Facebook.
Stupid Facebook.
But we get around to it. Eventually it gets up there.
Yeah.
They changed something in the back end, and now it takes like forever to load a video. It does get there. It just takes a while.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
it'll
fine.
get there. But the best way is probably on Spotify.
Yes.
That's the best way to do it. Because on Spotify, you can listen to us. You can watch us with the video podcast, but you can also listen to us as an audio-only podcast if you put Spotify on in the background. And therefore, you can take us on the go with you through Android Auto and Apple CarPlay. So that's how you can do it.
Spotify is absolutely the best way to check it out. That's the way that I do it. But if you need to get in touch with us individually on X, formerly known as Twitter, so you can share your sports, entertainment, or odd news stories, you can find us there. I'm at Mikey Costanzo, MikeyCostanzo.
And I am at Rich Liebig, RichLiebig. Find us there. But for right now, we got to wrap it up. This is the Crispy Noodle Podcast. We'll see you guys next week.
See you guys.
Later. Bye-bye, all you fine peoples. Good night.
Some of us have great stories, pretty stories that take place at lakes with boats and friends and noodle salad. A lot of people, that's their story. Good times, noodle salad.